us is my very good friend, Marcia Mitnick, who is a licensed children's psychologist therapist and also the director of our preschool at Temple Shir Shalom, the Learning Center. And Marcia brings a lot of tools to the table, but has always been someone for me to consult with the past 12 years that we've had a relationship and a friendship and work together. And so I'm thrilled that she has agreed to come and be someone to talk to us on Monday Morning Musings. Hi, Marsh.
Hi, thank you for having me.
And a mazel tov to Marcia because her daughter gave birth to a beautiful child a week ago and a week and a half ago, and so she's getting to Vel and enjoy that part of life as well. Tell us about your newest grandchild.
Well, my newest grandchild is number 5. She's this itty bitty thing, and her 3-year-old sister welcomed her with so much love that at the end of the day, she told her mom, okay, it's time for her to go back now. So we're enjoying every minute of the older sister's sense of humor.
Well, I think she'll be very well adjusted then, because my brother did the same thing to me when I came into this world, and we're 3.5 years apart. So, well, speaking of children, a lot of uncertainty in our world, and obviously this is your specialty and your awareness. And so my first thing to ask from you is, as we look at everything in our world today, how might our children respond to these realities and the uncertainty and the things that they're experiencing?
Well, there is no doubt that every child is feeling the difference because of what's going on. And, for young children, that equals acting out in different ways, because for young children, acting out and their behavior is the words that they can't say. And when we look at this pandemic, overall, it's a loss. It's a loss of routine. It's a loss of seeing friends. And a lot of kids are experiencing what we call negative feelings. They may be from the stress of all the change. They may be irritable. They may be crabby. They may be having meltdowns. They may be withdrawn. All of these feelings are something that needs to be talked about and addressed.
So besides those things that are exhibited or sometimes not exhibited and internalized, well, let's talk about the ones who internalize things, who don't exhibit that. So those feelings are probably happening. I mean, look, I have those feelings.
Right.
I mean, I'm concerned. I'm feeling loss. I miss things that usually be happening in our lives, both professionally, socially. What about the children who don't exhibit outward signs of these feelings?
I think that it's very important for parents to somehow wiggle in there. You know your child. We hope that you know your child. And so for the very quiet ones, I think often when parents share their feelings, wow, this is making me frustrated, or I miss that I can't see my friends. Obviously you're putting it in a more mature way with older kids, but parents should be addressing it in a way that gets these kids to connect with them and talk back and forth.
Can you give us some more suggestions about how to bring, and maybe even with some age specifics about how we can address these things with our kids? Because you specialize in younger children, though I know you've talked to high school kids as well, and helped me in navigating these with each stage of life. But look, my kids are 20 and 22, and I know they have feelings right now, and fortunately often they're able to articulate that, but sometimes I'm sure they don't, but in different stages. So what is a 3-year-old, what is the 6-year-old, what is the 10-year-old going through?
There's certain things that I think in terms of reaching them and helping a child across the board is a child needs to feel that they are safe and that they have a routine. So your child in terms of their age, A 3-year-old needs a routine. They, obviously for a 3-year-old, you can stick to their previous routine. But even the older kids, a routine has to be there because their predictability is letting them know that they're safe and that they're in control of things, which is really important.
It goes to you say routine. For me as the rabbi, it goes to that mantra that I was taught in preschool when I was a preschool parent of rhythm, ritual, and reverence. The idea of our rhythm gives us that sense of safety, right? And we've lost some of that rhythm, but we still can create that in our homes, right? Ritual becomes, how do we mark that time? And ritual can be brushing our teeth. Ritual can be, the breakfast we have together, or the dinner. But we can also make that Jewish at times, whether it's Shema at nighttime or the motzi before a meal. And reverence is something that appreciation for that which is, we're a part of something bigger than ourselves, right? Whether we define that as divine and God, or just appreciation of our world and the spiritual aspect of our lives too.
And I think too that having that routine, especially the 3 R's that you talk about, it breeds resilience in people, because they know that they're going to get through it, and we will get through this. There's silver linings here. We may come out in many ways better than we were before, and by doing that predictability in that routine, it provides that foundation for resilience and managing adversity.
Speaking of resilience, so so the I love the concept of making sure our children feel safe and reminding ourselves of that. And I would add to it as well, and I'm not a child psychologist, but I think safe and loved go hand in hand, right? God willing, and how important that is. I remember someone said, when we were first parents, brought Ellie home from the hospital, we had no idea what we were doing, right? Trying to figure this thing out. And,
so typical.
One person, you just let the baby be, let the baby cry. It's okay, blah, blah. And a very close friend of mine who remains a close friend said, you can never hold a baby too much. That those first months, that love and the constant holding is that early security, safety, and comes love. And I still feel that way. My kids don't love when I'm constantly trying to hug them and hold them, but I still exude that. And I think it's still sending that message of safety and love.
So all of the above gets translated for older kids in a way that is a checking in with them. Obviously they don't want you too mushy because they don't like that. But when you check in with them, how you doing? Or, you're sending a love note and a text, anything that keeps that connection and back and forth going is very important. And I also would say for especially older kids, it's their developmental level at that point to kind of disconnect as they become more mature, sort of, and want to, become more independent. They may be so crabby when you give them a hug, but they eat it up. They're not going to tell you that they eat that up, but you're, as a parent, even grandparent, reaching out to them and pulling them in. It just goes such a long way.
So what about the non-communicative kid, whether it is a preschooler, a 4-year-old, or a 12-year-old, and you sense there's so much angst they're experiencing right now? You can pick up on that as the parent,
Right.
whether it's because of what's going on today or just because they're 12. Suggestions
Exactly.
to help them.
Well, it's about being creative as adults for these kids, because it's not like you can run up to and spend a half hour having ice cream with them, or sitting over at a restaurant where you're in what we call like neutral territory. But a shared something, whether it's, come on, I want to have a coffee with you, will you sit with me at the kitchen table? Anything that makes that connection. And I don't think, sometimes it's not the content to the message, okay? Just like when you listen to music, it is the background sound in the home that is what kids are hearing. It's the actions that kids are hearing and feeling. So turn off the electronics. I want to visit with you for 20 minutes. Make a meal together, something that draws them in. It's got to be their favorite meal. It can't be yours, so that you're making them feel that I got you. You're safe. We're going to get through this together.
Yeah. What about the stress that we're feeling, us parents, the preschool parents, the people? I mean, look, I'm fortunate in the sense that my kids are college age and are independent and are doing their thing. But the parents who now have children home all the time and are having school run from their houses and are feeling that stress themselves, balancing that, how can we help them?
Well, I mean, again, the stress levels come out differently with the little kids to the big kids. And I have to say that there's degrees of terribleness when you go through something awful. And for parents, we've got to give them some grace, because many parents are working and running virtual learning, and their stress levels are off the Richter scale. Okay. But you see, the thing is that children mirror often their parents' stress level. So, now that's great. I'm having a hard time getting my order from Kroger's, and you're telling me that I'm creating more stress for my kid. Well, the reality is the reality. Only a parent can answer that. But there's a way to get around that. And I think part of what's not happening now is parents don't think they're entitled to self-care. And I don't care if you lock yourself in a bathroom for 20 minutes. Although I do know someone that tried to do that and the kid kept banging on the door. But you have to be able, as a parent, to provide the boundaries. If you have a partner, then you tag team it. You watch them. I need 20 minutes. Anything that will help you breathe and calm your body, because kids pick up on it.
Self-care. Marcia's reminder for the day is self-care for us parents as well.
It's very important.
We have a number of grandparents who log on and watch Monday morning musings, grandparents who are regularly involved with their grandchildren. Shout out to Paulette Coffrin, whose birthday it is, or was, 12 hours ago. And
happy birthday, Paulette.
And so what about them? They're not on the front lines, and some of these grandparents are, the daycare specialists with their children. They're blessed to be able to do that, and now they're not, and there's a loss for them and the connection. How can they help?
Well, as a grandmother, I so relate to that. The bottom line is, as grandparents, we have to check in with ourselves first. I mean, I guess there's a reason why they do that on the airplane. We have to take care of ourselves first and be safe. If we're not safe, then something could happen to us. Kids, I know that my grandchildren, my oldest has said to me, I don't see you as much anymore. I miss you. Well, there are all kinds of ways, even old-fashioned ways, to connect with your grandchildren. It may be sending a card. It may be FaceTiming. It may be playing a game on Zoom or FaceTime. Anything to keep that connection. Everyone, I think, sometimes is very hard on themselves. We can only do the best so that we can show up the best. So for grandparents, the best thing they can do is to ask their children, what can I do? How can I help? And together you can figure that out. For older kids, if they have that tight connection, I have friends who have older grandchildren. They're on their phone with their grandchildren for a half hour. And one of them said at one point, I just wanted to hear your voice. 30 minutes? What a wonderful thing. but anything to kind of maintain that connection. And if you're really, you know, Michigan weather is unpredictable. I'm in Colorado right now, and it is gorgeous and sunny. I think a huge umbrella to this pandemic is getting outside. You know, the more you can be outside, meet your grandchild at the end of their driveway and go for a walk, bundle up, anything to wear a mask, but anything to maintain that connection and take care of yourself.
Good suggestions. Look, it's a challenge for everyone, right?
No doubt.
And for those raising children in their homes, how much the more so right now. And I think, you know, good reminders are that our children mirror us and see how we're responding, and are wrestling with things, and being honest about it is really important, but also staying, you know, helping ourselves be calm in that too, and calling on the resources we have. So we're lucky that we have Marcia as a resource at Temple in our community. But please know that your rabbis are resources too, whether to bounce around ideas, to talk to a child on the phone, to FaceTime with kids.
There you
Rabbi and I have
go.
been doing that. We've been doing that with lots of kids too, and lots of parents as well. One, because we love it, and we want to stay connected. And for us, look, we're just part of that bigger circle, and love the connections that we're able to create. And we know that, yes, this we see a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, God willing. And saw some good positive announcements this morning with vaccination potential, but we still got some months ahead of us, and we'll figure this out together and help each other. I love seeing, you know, some through our preschool, but others of families baking together and cooking together. And you suggested that, and the joy that comes out of those experiences. And I also love the fact that technology, while at times we get frustrated with it and we know it's a distraction, can also really be something that is advantageous, as it is right now for us, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
we had a very small Thanksgiving of just four of us, but we were able to connect with, you know, one child in Israel and a nephew in Italy, and family all over the country. And that was really special. And so being able to do that, whether it's story time with a grandparent, or, you know, connecting with cousins is real, and friends as well, is really important.
I also
Keep at
think, oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I also think that if ever before, now is the time to develop a sense of humor, because kids, no matter what age they are, 0 to 66, we all respond to a sense of humor. So if you're having a child that is perhaps withdrawn, and you're very animated and try to, you know, goof around, that can lighten the load a little bit. And I mean, I'm always a half cup full person, but I can tell you that when the going gets rough, I turn on Comedy Central. Get out there and laugh. It really does help.
My children don't find me funny though.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's it, right? It's rough. It's really rough. Um, Last thing, Marcia, books that you would recommend, and we'll post them on Facebook and on YouTube with this in a link, but things that would be good reading materials, resources that we can grab.
So there's this one book that I actually was reading, have been reading for the preschool, because we have an outdoor classroom, but it's just so well written, and there's no bad weather. I think there's no bad weather, there's just bad clothes, or something like that. I will get the full title and author, but this is a woman that moved to the United States from Finland or Denmark, and she's raising her two young children. In the Netherlands, they are outside all the time. They pack up their babies and they stick them on the front porch, and they're very pro children there. And when she got to Indiana, as a matter of fact, no one was going outside, and she couldn't understand it. She was pleading with her 4-year-old to turn off Frozen, the movie, and she's made it her passion to get these kids outside. We see that at the preschool, so that's why I read this book, how important it is to get outside. I think what I'd like to do is, I can suggest parenting books, but I want to write some titles down and offer them out. I'll give them to you online. Um, it's hard. I understand for parents, it's hard to get to reading sometimes when you're going through all this. So there are stories for children about different feelings. I will put a list up, and then parents can get as much out of a children's book as they can a big, adult book. And I think it's little bits that parents are going to have to take away.
I look forward to looking at that book. I think the line I've heard as far as camping goes is there's no bad clothes, no bad weather, just bad clothing choices, right? Or something like that. But
Right.
right,
Yeah,
same.
it's something like
So,
that.
which we've lived by this fall at Shoresh, our religious school, being outside, and our preschool, we're still in session at Temple in pods in a way, and we're outside a lot of the time and safely in very small groups, and it's been really a blessing to be able to do it this fall. I'll share one other book that Marsha and I read together in a study session called Nurture the Wow, by Rabbi Dana Ruttenberg, which is like how to find. I think one of the tags is, finding the blessing in a shitty diaper, kind of thing, and
Right.
was the idea of everything can be a blessing if you have that perspective, that humor, that awareness, that growth that goes with it too. And I think, look, God willing, we'll look back at this time period and we see the silver linings, the family time, the dinners together, the fact that we're not out in the nighttime, we're together as family, those things that are become blessings as well, even in the midst of the challenges that we face. Thank you, Marsha. I said 15 minutes, we've been on for 20, but it's all worthwhile and it goes so quickly. Any last things you want to share with us to send us off?
I think because of what's going on with the virus, we all have to give ourselves some grace. We are not perfect grandparents. We are not perfect parents. And our children are not perfect, nor should they be. We just can't do it all. But let's make sure that what we do packs a punch.
I like that. Thank you. Good reminder. Thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. And you're really insightful and help us. And our children are blessed to have people like you in their lives.
Thank you.
Thanks to Brian Fishman, our executive director, being behind the scenes today, once again, helping Monday morning musings go so smoothly. Hey, everyone, have a good week. Hope your Thanksgiving was filled with that perspective and the blessing. Lastly, Hanukkah begins in 10 days on Thursday night next week. And so another good time to create that rhythm, ritual, and reverence as something, maybe some new traditions that you bring into your family, into your Hanukkah table, your Hanukkah that you share together. And maybe next Monday, I'll talk more specifically about some of those things that you can do too, for really a special thing. A few things on Temple's calendar. It's a Kaya Shabbat, a nice peaceful Shabbat Friday night, Saturday morning, and their Shoresh is in person is quiet now, but online continues for another week. And then next Monday morning musings. Tuesday night, we have our hot topics class in 8 days. Wednesday, we continue our introduction to Judaism, as it is this Wednesday as well. And then that first night of Hanukkah, Thursday, Friday is our Hanukkah family Shabbat service online, but our children's choir have prepared some things that are videoed and beautiful and be special with Cantor. And on Sunday, we have our Hanukkah first ever road rally for our entire congregation, people that jump into their cars, families together, going around town, finding these clues and celebrating Hanukkah, ending at Temple at from 3:30 to 5:30. So start from your home, ending at Temple with a big Hanukkah menorah lighting together in our cars in the parking lot safely, as always. So with masks on, of course, too. Sorry, lots of information. It's all online, but wishing you all a good week. And thank you again, Marsha Mitnick. And let's stay safe, everyone. Take care.